Up until a few years ago, the only way to get your hands on an Axis lock would have been to buy a Benchmade like this Presidio. I mean, yeah, they're great knives, but they can be expensive. Now that just about any knife company can legally make Axis lock, there's a few affordable options out there. So today I'm going to show you my list of top 10 Axis lock budget knives that cost under $40. Down in the description is where you'll find all the links to buy, the prices, and even coupon codes for all the knives shown in this video. If you'd never tried an Axis lock before, you're probably wondering what the heck is the big deal about them. Well, it's actually a few reasons, and the first one being that this is a very strong lock because of that crossbar that you can see moving. Yeah, that's what actually keeps the blade open. These are also considered to be safer to use since, your fingers are never going to be in the cutting path when you close that blade. The lock is, of course, ambidextrous since it can be operated from either side of the handle. And lastly, my favorite reason is that these are they're just a ton of fun to go ahead and fidget with. By the way, if this is your first time here, hey, thanks for stopping by. I'm Jay. Go ahead and consider subscribing if you're looking for knife reviews that get right to the point. All right, starting us off at number 10, I got from Grow. This is the EF963. I really hate to rank this one at the bottom of the list because I really do like the design, but the thumb hole when it's closed, when you're attempting to open it, that thumb hole really is kind of awkward to use. It's just perfect for like Spidey flicking, but when it comes to like a standard open, it kind of takes me a second. I have to stop, so I can dig my thumb in there, and then I still end up like having to give it a little bit of wrist to open. And I really like this wide kind of Nesma inspired blade shape that is made from D2 steel. It has a pretty simple handle design with some nicely contoured scales that should be fine for those of you that have the larger hands. This thing is just so close to being completely ambidextrous, but that recessed pocket clip, unfortunately, it's going to be just the one position. Coming in at number 9, I got from Harns. This is the giant Silkworm. To be honest, I'm not a huge fan of these trailing point blades, but you know what? If you are, then this is a good one to get. I mean, it has a very good budget steel in the 14C 28N Sandvik. And you can see it has a really nice sized, a 50-50 forward finger choil, which, that just means that, half of that cutout is made up of the handle, and then the other half is cut into the blade. These contoured scales, they are very comfortable and, fully chamfered all the way around. So there are no sharp edges anywhere. And I just love how they designed the scales with the pattern that actually does kind of look like the body of a silkworm. It has some pretty stiff springs in there, which I actually like. And the action, oh man, it's so good. Number 8 is going to be from Sanrenmu. This little guy is the RM763. I like this little tank more than I expected to, and it is the only knife on the list that has a 2.6-inch hollow ground blade in HCR 13 MOV steel. I don't think I have ever seen a knife this small that has this much jimping. I mean, even though it is wider space, it's pretty aggressive stuff. These copper colored scales, they are in fact aluminum, where I can get with my medium sized hand, I can get about a 3.5 finger grip. Great action though, with some kind of weaker sort of springs inside, which, it's probably better that way on a knife this small. It's advertised as having a bottle opener. Yeah, you can see right about there, which, that is kind of nice. Number 7 from Sativian. This is the ST124. I know that I've been mispronouncing this brand name for quite a while now. I think I've been calling it like Sativian or something like that. But, when I first started showing these knives, there were no videos about them yet on YouTube. So I didn't really have a point of reference, but now I know Sativian. Here we have a kind of unique looking 3.3-inch D2 clip point blade with a generously sized handle at almost 4.6 inches long. The G10 scales, they are also, they're also contoured a little bit with some really nice, has some nice traction, and you can see on the handle, a deep finger choil, which really helps with that grip. I also appreciate these thumb studs. You can see that they're a good distance away from the handle, especially on that clip side. And so it just makes them, really easy to get at. This has some really nice action with also some pretty strong springs inside. And here's another one that was just so close to being fully ambidextrous, but they only gave us a one position deep carry clip. But hey, at least, at least it is recessed into the scale. Number 6, I got a Ganzo Firebird. This one is the G753. For some reason, this knife, it's a little bigger than I remember, and with a 440C blade at almost 3.6 inches long. It's one of their most popular knives that it came out right before they started using ball bearing pivots. So the action, you can see the action on mine has always just, it's just always kind of been okay. I mean, it's not great, it's not terrible, just kind of average. This one is fully ambidextrous with their older style 2-position pocket clip that does ride, it does ride kind of shallow in pocket. Number 5 is going to be another Grau. This is the EF966. This is one of those knives that often gets compared to the Benchmade Bug Out, and you can see it's because of, they both have the same type of lock and very, very similar blades. But there is a huge difference in the blade thickness. When knives in this price range have micarta scales, they're usually not the best quality. They're kind of smooth, but this stuff is actually really nice with some good traction. And then check out this action. Yeah. Oh yeah, that is really good. Now, the only real issue that I have is with this ridiculous pocket clip. I mean, it's way too big for this knife, and, it causes it to ride pretty shallow in pocket. Number 4, I got one more Sativian. This is the ST109. I gotta show you my favorite thing about this knife first, and it's going to be that action. Look at that. I mean, it practically wants to bounce out. Yeah, that is absolutely nuts. And you can go ahead and ask anybody in my house. I am having a hard time setting this thing down just because of how much fun it is to fidget. But this is a big boy at almost, 8.5 inches open with a 3.65 inch D2 blade. Other than the Harn's giant Silkworm, it is the only other knife on the list that has a usable forward finger choil. One nice little attention to detail is going to be that you can see it's that decorative pivot design. And yes, it is on both sides, and you just don't always see that on a sub $30 knife. I know, a simple man, simple pleasures. Number 3, how about a free tiger? This is the FT2103. If there was any knife on this list that you could easily compare to the Bug Out, it would definitely be, I think it would definitely be this one. That D2 blade, it has similar length, similar shape. I mean, even the blade stock thickness, almost the same. The studs on this lock bar, they are, you can see, first, they stick out a good distance, past the scales, but they're also pretty rounded. So they are very comfortable, and it's not really gonna, it's not gonna hurt your fingers after a long day of fidgeting. Unfortunately, this is another one with a pocket clip that has only, just one position, and that clip is not recessed. It just sort of sits on top of the scale there. But hey, at least they did go ahead and use like lower profile screws that they should not get caught up on your pocket. One nice attention to detail that I was shocked to see was, you see this, that exposed like corner of the blade tang, where the blade ends. They went ahead, they rounded it. So it's not going to catch on anything in your pocket. Number 2 is another Sanrenmu. This is the SRM 9201. This knife has one of my all-time favorite clip point blade shapes, and I think it's really because of that kind of rather conservative trailing point. It doesn't do anything crazy and, start to look like a shoe that a goblin might wear. Not too many knives out there in this price range that have a black washed blade and a thumb hole opener instead of thumb studs. And yes, it is truly ambidextrous with a 2-position, look at that, deep carry pocket clip that is also, they went ahead and also recessed that sucker. And just really great, really great action in both directions. And it is also, it is very easy to spidey flick. And I'm not all that concerned about that whole, the whole ounce per blade inch ratio. But this one actually does adhere to it. The blade is 3.5 inches long, and get this, only weighs 3.39 ounces. Well done, guys. Before I go ahead and show you my number 1, I would love to know, what are some of your favorite Axis Lock budget knives? Go ahead and list as many as you possibly can down in the comments. All right, here it is. My number 1 favorite Axis Lock budget knife costing under $40. It's going to be a Ganzo Firebird. Yep, it's the F7601. Those of you that have been hanging around the channel for a long time, should not at all be surprised by this choice. I mean, come on, this thing has been my baby for a really long time. I mean, the action, the blade shape, even the price. I mean, those are just a few of the things I love most about it. And I sure don't mind the 440C steel. In fact, I would rather have this than something like, 8CR or AUS 8, even 12C27. I wish that this clip was 2-position. It's deep carry, but, no lefty love. And these lock bar studs, they just, I wish they stuck out a little bit more. You can see, they barely make it past the scales. Right now, there's a video up on the screen that I personally picked out for you to go ahead and watch next. And hey, if you haven't already, consider subscribing. But I gotta run. Thank you so much for watching. Love you guys, and I'll see you at the next video. Take care.